this is Joanna and welcome back to another video for the Alleyway stamps. And today I'm using a Castaway and I will use this really fun and cute yellowfish, and I will also use the Big Love from Bubbly, and I will create my own sentiment. And I will also use this big die from Simon Says Stamp. And I will just run that through my die cut machine, and then I have a stitched edge on my front panel. And then I have this acetate sheet, and I am just smushing some 3 colors of distress ink onto it. And I'm working on Nina Solar White, so this is regular cardstock. It's not a watercolor cardstock, but it works really fine if you're careful with the water, so don't use too much water. And if the paper is a little bit too wet, you can always use your heat gun to dry it in between. So I want to have the darkest color in the right corner, so I'm just smushing my ink onto the paper. And this is not finished, so I'm taking the lightest color that I have. This is tumbled glass, and I'm just spritzing it with a little bit of water. And I will do some ink smushing over it again. And this is such an easy technique. If you haven't tried it, I really recommend you trying it. It always turns out so beautiful and it's so fun to do. So I'm just wiping my sheet. This is just a piece of, you can use any piece of acetate really when you're doing this. This is from my Stamp Magic, but you can use any acetate sheet, of course. And here I had too much water on, so I just removed some water with my paper towel. And I'm trying to create an ocean scene. And here the paper is a little bit too wet, so I'm drying it with my heat gun. So I'm taking the darkest ink again, and this time I'm spraying it with Perfect Pearls mixed with water, because I don't want the entire background to be sparkly. I just want some of it to be sparkly, so it looks like it's underneath the sea. So I'm just pressing it on there. And I'm cleaning off my surface, and then I use my heat tool again. And it's always good to heat on the back side as well. That really prevent it from warping too much. And here you can see the gorgeous shimmer that I got onto it. And now it's time to stamp the yellowfish. So I'm going to do some really easy copy coloring. So I'm using my Memento ink again. This is a really good ink when you are coloring with Memento, because the ink doesn't smear at all. So I'm stamping the entire yellowfish, but I didn't have to do that because I'm ending up just using the heads. And then I have my heat tool again, so I'm just drying the ink. And I'm using 3 shades of each color per jellyfish, and I'm also using the darkest color to create some dots. So this is really super simple. The images are so small, so I think I don't think you have to use 3 colors, but I have some Copics, so I tend to use them. And then I'm cutting them out, and I only need the bodies or the heads. So I'm cutting them out right against the black border. And then I use my Copic to paint the edges, so it looks like I've cut them out perfectly. And now it's time to stamp the, I don't know, is it called tails? I'm not sure, but now I'm stamping the rest of the body of the yellowfish directly onto the card. So I'm just placing them where I want to. And I'm using my Memento ink again. This is going to be a love card, so I want the jellyfish to be quite close to each other. And then I'm using my two-way glue pen. This is a really good glue. And I'm using my tweezers to get them in place. And I'm going to cover these with glossy accents later, so I don't want too much dimension, so that's why I'm just adhering them flat onto the card, both of them. And then I have my Wink of Stella, and I'm covering both of the jellyfish with some glitter. And now it's time for the sentiment. And I have a black piece of cardstock, and I was using my embossing body, as you saw, because I'm going to do some heat embossing, and my embossing body takes away if I have any oil on my fingers or any static, so the embossing powder only clings to the Versamark. And I'm going to do I'm cutting my stamp apart because the stamp says Ocean of Love, but I want the Ocean of, and then I'm going to stamp the big love from the stamp set Bubbly. So I'm sorry that I'm out of frame here. And I could of course had just masked this off, but I really like cutting the stamps apart because I tend to mess up when I'm masking stamps. So this is a better option for me, and it's really easy to mount them back together if you want to later. So I'm picking them up with my acrylic block, and I'm also picking the love stamp up with another acrylic block, and I'm stamping them with a Versamark onto my black cardstock. And I'm trying to line them up. And then I have my Ranger embossing powder, and this is the detail embossing powder. I really love that one. And I'm just funneling everything back into the jar. And then I will trim this into size, so I'm cutting a flag shape on one of the ends. And then I will use my paper trimmer to cut the other end off, so I'm sure that it's straight. And the front piece is quite warped, because I did use a lot of water and also when I used my heat tool. So I'm using some foam tape behind it, so I'm sure that it will adhere flat. And I'm adhering my foam tape with multi-medium matte. And this is a really good glue, it's super strong, and if anything oozes out on the sides, this dries matte, so no one will ever see that. And it just takes a couple of, maybe 30 seconds to dry, so it dries really fast as well. So I'm using it on both sides, so I'm adhering this onto the card, and I'm just making sure that I'm adhering it to the right side. I have a tendency to adhere everything backwards, so I have to check to make sure. And then I'm using some regular 3M foam tape on the banner that I created earlier. And I want the banner to be just a little bit raised, because I'm going to use, as I said earlier, I will use some glossy accent on the jellyfish. So I want it to be a little bit dimensional on each side of the card. And I'm also using my white gel pen, and this is the Signo Uniball White, and this is a great gel pen. I have tried lots of gel pens, and this is one that I really like. So I'm making some faux stitching lines around the banner, or on two sides rather. And then I will use my glossy accent over both jellyfish. And if you are interested in any of the products that I used in this video, they are linked over at my blog, and you can find that address in the YouTube description down below. And I had a lot of small air bubbles when I created when I added the glossy accents, and what I always do when I have air bubbles, I use my poker tool, and I have a poker tool from X-Cut, and I just pop the air bubbles with it. It works perfect. So just do it while the glossy accent is still wet, and you will get a perfect result. So thank you guys so much for spending some time with me and watching, and thank you for all your sweet comments and your thumbs up. It means a lot to me. So take care all of you, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!